3 days tracking, and we finally killed one.
Good. Now put it down and walk away. We haven't eaten in 4 days. This is meat. It's meat that ate meat. That's different.
You sound like the old woman. Meat is meat. Meat is meat.
Why every hunter who ate the liver came back wrong? They came back sick. So we starve instead? Starve or eat this? Every animal that hunts is off the menu. Nobody told us why.
Right now, there's a chance you have something in your fridge that came from an animal that ate grass. Chicken, beef, pork, lamb, fish, maybe. Look at that list again. Every single one of them is a plant eater or something close to it. And you never chose that. Nobody sat you down as a child and explained that the entire global meat industry, every farm, every butcher shop, every drive-through window on the planet, is built almost exclusively on animals that eat leaves and grain and seeds. You just absorbed it. It felt normal. But here's the thing. That's not a coincidence. That's not culture. That's not taste. That's chemistry and biology and about 2 million years of dead ancestors teaching us a lesson the hard way. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why almost nobody on Earth eats lion, wolf, hawk, or shark as a staple food, why the animals that hunt are almost never the animals we hunt for dinner, and why the reason goes so much deeper than it tastes bad. Let's start with the thing you were probably told, because it's the most common answer and it's mostly wrong. Ask most people why we don't eat predators and they'll say the meat is tough or gamey or stringy. That's the folk answer. And there's a grain of truth in it. Muscle from a lean, constantly hunting animal is denser and more worked than muscle from a penned-up cow. But toughness has never stopped humans from eating anything. We eat octopus. We eat tripe. We invented pressure cookers, marinades, slow braising, and fermentation specifically to defeat toughness. If a chewy texture were the problem, we'd have solved it in the Bronze Age. No, the real problem is invisible. Here's where it gets interesting. The problem is a concept ecologists call biomagnification, and it's the single most important idea in this entire video. The term itself was formalized in the scientific literature in the 1960s and 70s, but the underlying logic was laid out much earlier by Charles Elton, the British ecologist whose 1927 book Animal Ecology introduced the world to the idea of the food chain as a pyramid of energy. Elton's insight was simple. At every step up a food chain, you lose energy. Roughly 90% of it. 10% carries forward, but energy isn't the only thing moving up that ladder. The bad stuff moves too, and unlike energy, it doesn't get lost. It concentrates. Think about that for a second. A field of grass absorbs trace amounts of a heavy metal from the soil. A deer eats 1,000 kilograms of that grass over its life and stores the metal in its liver and fat. A wolf eats 20 deer. That wolf's liver now holds the accumulated toxic load of 20,000 kilograms of grass. Every rung up the ladder multiplies the dose. So when you eat a herbivore, you're eating 1 filter's worth of accumulation. When you eat a predator, you're eating the sum of every animal it ever killed. Predators are containers. Now here's the part nobody talks about. This isn't theoretical. We have a body count. In the winter of 1912 to 1913, during Douglas Mawson's Australasian Antarctic expedition, 3 men set out across the ice. 1, Belgrave Ninnis, disappeared into a crevasse along with most of the party's food supplies. That left Mawson and the Swiss ski expert Xavier Mertz with almost nothing to eat except their remaining sled dogs. So they ate the dogs, including the livers. Mertz died on the 8th of January 1913. Mawson barely crawled back alive, losing the skin off the soles of his feet on the way. For decades, the deaths were blamed on starvation and cold. But in 1969, researchers John Cleland and R.V. Southcott published an analysis arguing that the symptoms, the hair loss, the peeling skin, the dizziness, the nervous system collapse, matched hypervitaminosis A, vitamin A poisoning. Because carnivores store enormous concentrations of vitamin A in their livers, and 100 grams of husky liver contains a dose that can kill an adult human. The Inuit had known this for centuries. They also knew never to eat polar bear liver, a rule documented by European Arctic explorers who kept dismissing it as superstition right up until they got sick. There's a beautiful arrogance to that. Local people spend 3,000 years figuring out which parts of an animal will kill you, and a guy from London shows up with a rifle and decides they're being silly. Anyway, he was wrong. But vitamin A is just the opening act, because there's a second problem, and this one is far more dangerous and far older. Here's the uncomfortable truth about eating something that's a lot like you. The more closely an animal's biology resembles yours, the more easily its diseases jump into you. This is the foundation of what we now call zoonotic transmission, and predators are absolute reservoirs for it. Carnivores eat raw flesh constantly, which means they're continually inoculating themselves with whatever their prey was carrying. Their bodies become libraries of parasites. The best documented example is Trichinella spiralis. The parasite was first identified in 1835 by James Paget, then a first-year medical student at St. Bartholomew's Hospital in London, examining muscle tissue from a cadaver, and formally named that same year by Richard Owen. Trichinella lives encysted in muscle. It concentrates in carnivores and omnivores, and it's notoriously heat-resistant in Arctic strains. Bear meat remains one of the leading causes of human trichinellosis outbreaks in North America and Eurasia to this day, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control still issues warnings about it every single hunting season. Let that sink in. We have a modern national health agency in the 21st century still telling people the exact same thing Paleolithic hunters figured out on their own. Be very careful with the meat of things that eat meat. So we've got poison and we've got parasites. But even if you solved both of those, there's a third barrier. And it's the one that actually decided the shape of human civilization. Economics. Cold, brutal, calorie-counting economics. Go back to Elton's pyramid. 10% of energy transfers up each level. That means in any given ecosystem, herbivores are abundant and predators are rare. Wildly rare. A stretch of savanna that supports 10,000 antelope might support a few dozen lions. This isn't a small difference in availability. It's a difference of 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. Now imagine you're a hunter 40,000 years ago on the Eurasian steppe. You have a limited number of hunting days before winter. In front of you is a choice. Pursue an animal that is common, slow, herds together predictably, and cannot kill you, or pursue an animal that is rare, fast, solitary, hyper-alert, and has spent its entire evolutionary history perfecting the art of killing things exactly your size. You don't need a calculator for that one, and the archaeology backs it up hard. At Schöningen in Germany, in 1990, the archaeologist Hartmut Thieme uncovered a set of wooden throwing spears dating to roughly 300,000 years ago, among the oldest complete hunting weapons ever found. What were they lying next to? The butchered remains of horses. Dozens of them. Not lions. Not hyenas. Horses. At Boxgrove in England, excavated through the 1980s and 90s under Mark Roberts, the cut-marked bones are horse, red deer, and rhinoceros. Herbivores, herbivores, herbivores. The pattern holds almost everywhere you look. When ancient humans killed a predator, they usually did it for one of 3 reasons: to remove a threat, to take the pelt, or to make a statement. Not to fill the pot. Now here's the part that reframes everything. Because there is a fascinating exception, and exceptions are always where the truth hides. Humans absolutely did eat carnivores sometimes, and the cave bear proves it. At sites across Europe, including Drachenloch in Switzerland and numerous caves in the Swabian Jura, cave bear bones show cut marks from stone tools. Neanderthals and early modern humans were processing these animals. But the cave bear, Ursus spelaeus, was largely herbivorous. Isotope studies on its bones consistently show a plant-heavy diet. So even our "we ate a predator" example turns out to be, chemically speaking, a very large angry vegetarian. And when humans did consistently eat true carnivores, as with certain Arctic and coastal cultures eating seal and polar bear, look at how obsessively the rules developed around it. Which organs to discard? How long to age it? What never to feed to children? Every one of those traditions is a scar. Somebody died, and the group remembered. Which brings us to the part of this story that isn't about biology at all. Because I think the deepest reason we don't eat predators is that at some point we stopped seeing them as food entirely, and started seeing them as something closer to rivals, or mirrors. Think about where predators show up in human culture. Not on the menu, on the walls, in the sky, on the flag, the lion on the coat of arms, the eagle on the currency, the wolf in the founding myth of Rome. At Chauvet Cave in southern France, discovered in December 1994 by Jean-Marie Chauvet and his colleagues, the walls are covered with images dating back around 36,000 years, and the artists there were obsessed with lions, bears, rhinos, and hyenas. panels and panels of them. Meanwhile, the animals those people actually ate, reindeer and horses, are comparatively underrepresented. Read that again. They painted the things that could kill them, not the things they killed. The German archaeologist Nicholas Conrad's 2003 excavation at Hohensteinstadel and the surrounding Swabian caves gave us the Löwenmensch, the Lion Man, a 40,000-year-old figurine carved from mammoth ivory with a human body and a lion's head. It is one of the oldest pieces of figurative art on Earth. Nobody carved a D. Man, nobody made an ivory statue of a person with an antelope's head and reverence in their eyes. We wanted to become the predator, not consume it. And that distinction runs deeper than sentiment. When you eat something, you place it below you. When you paint it 40 feet up a cave wall in flickering torchlight and carve its head onto a human body, you're doing the opposite. You're placing it above you. Predators occupied a psychological category that food simply never entered. They were competitors for the same prey, threats to the same children, and uncomfortably, the closest thing in the landscape to a reflection of ourselves. Cooperative, strategic, patient, lethal. There's an old idea that humans domesticated animals we could dominate and mythologize the ones we couldn't. And when the exception happened, when we finally did, bring a predator into the household, and we didn't eat it. We let it sleep by the fire. That's a wolf on your couch right now, snoring, waiting for you to drop a piece of toast. We didn't put the predator on the plate. We made it family. So let's put the whole thing back together, fast. Around 300,000 years ago at Schöningen, we were already throwing spears at horses instead of lions. Around 40,000 years ago, someone carved the lion man out of mammoth ivory instead of eating one. Around 36,000 years ago at Chauvet, we painted the hunters we feared on the walls of caves lit by fire. Around 15,000 years ago, we let the wolf come inside. In 1835, James Paget found the parasite in the mussel. In 1913, Xavier Mertz died in the Antarctic from a lesson the Inuit had already learned centuries earlier. In 1927, Charles Elton drew the pyramid that explained all of it. And tonight, when you open your fridge and reach past nothing, because there's no wolf steak in there, no hawk breast, no lion chops, you're not making a choice. You're inheriting one. You're obeying a rule written into your culture by everyone who tried the alternative and didn't come back to tell you about it. Every food tradition you've ever followed is a message from someone who died so you wouldn't have to. So, knowing what you know now, if you were starving in the snow with nothing but a carnivore in front of you, would you have eaten the liver? Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious how many of you would have made it.